Hey guys, welcome to the Reaction channel. New channel, gonna start making videos here daily as well. This one is about the AI bubble. Is the AI bubble real? We're gonna react to a video on that, some news. So if you guys do enjoy these videos, be sure to smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. New all-time high every single day, it seems like. This is due to AI, obviously leading the pack right here. And with the biggest player in that being NVIDIA, which is reporting earnings this next week, which is going to be very interesting. So that's going to be something to look out for and see, where they come in. I mean, obviously they're probably going to beat. That's what they tend to do, especially given the environment right now. We're probably going to see them beat 100%. I'd bet a lot of money we see that happen. But with NVIDIA, this is one that is obviously leading the pack for the market, almost a $6 trillion market cap. And this is going to be the big tell, is AI a bubble? And consumer stocks are down. So, I mean, tech is really what's leading the market, all-time high. Like I just said, year to date, we're up almost, 8% in the market, and consumer stocks are down big, posing a very good opportunity, down 26% on ELF year to date, and then Celsius is down 35%. So two stocks that I hold in my portfolio that I've been buying up a ton. Had pretty good days today, so portfolio definitely felt it. Green today while the stock market was red. That was nice, but all in all, looking pretty good. And it's going to tell a lot when earnings come out. We see NVIDIA actually beats earnings, obviously. They beat EPS in 21 of the last 23 quarters, and they frequently beat revenue forecasts by margins of 3 to 20%. So if they beat revenue by 20% and the EPS comes out, obviously as a huge beat, then the stock's probably going to go up. But this one really has to beat for it to go up because everything is insanely priced in, with NVIDIA being up 18% this year already. But the big question is, are people actually making money from AI? All these big companies, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Google, all these companies are spending an insane amount on AI. But you look at this, the brutal truth, research by MIT, we see that 95% of companies are currently failing to make any measurable money from AI. So you got to take that into account. But revenue versus cost, companies that do see a financial impact mostly report it as cost savings. So people are actually using AI to automate their customer service or writing code, and they're actually not finding a new stream of revenue from it, which is not completely true. I think when you look into Amazon, you look into Microsoft, Azure, you look at Google Cloud, you look at AWS, things of that nature. But in this sense, it does make sense. So reaction for today, this is the video we're going to react to today. Get into this right here.
Joining us, Matthew Tuttle, CEO and CIO of Tuttle Capital Management. Matthew, great to have you back on the show.
So this is about the AI bubble. We have Matthew Tuttle right here.
Got a nice green day on the board here. Yesterday, a bit of a mixed picture, but we did see more records. I'd love to get your thoughts on if this rally can hold and what your thoughts are on everyone pouring into the AI trade. Are we getting dangerously concentrated here, or is this just our way higher?
So, yeah, we are getting dangerously concentrated here, but I'm not seeing anything showing that this is going to slow down anytime soon.
Completely agree with him. I think that, we're probably not going to see this slow down, like you just said, anytime soon. I mean, the stock market's up 8% already year to date, so I wouldn't be surprised if we ended the year up 30%, completely due to AI. And I think we're going to see retail bounce back as well. So be sure to pour some profits in there.
You've got kind of on the bear side, oil up around 100, interest rates higher, Fed kind of has their hands tied, possible stagflation.
There's a lot going on.
But the market's looking at that as something that's temporary. And they're looking at all of this AI CapEx is something that is a multi-year phenomenon. So I'm definitely not going to sit here and try to call the top on this. We think you want to be in this trade. You want to be in the bottlenecks on this trade.
All right. So
Totally agree with him right there. I mean, you want to be in AI, even if this is one that, it's already taken off. Obviously, you see Micron, you see NVIDIA, but you do want to be in on this trade. Like, I buy a ton of consumer stocks, great opportunities right now, but my largest holding is AMD. I'm up over 300% on AMD.
We want to be in the bottleneck. So what are your thoughts about this being a bubble? Because I had a guest on the other day saying people are too interchangeably using the term bubble with what he says. It's Nigam Arora, by the way, who says it's mania. This is not a bubble in that we're detached from reality. We are attached to reality. It's just a psychology that everyone wants to be in this trade. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it could be all of those things, or it could be AI is a game changer. And, in what's going on is what should be going on. So we don't worry about it. You'll know in hindsight whether it was a bubble or not. I think even though if you look at kind of the 2000 to 2002, if you were in the right names, like if you were just buying the, pets.com and things like that, yeah, you got crushed. But if you were in the right names, yeah, I mean, you had a little bit of a drawdown there, but you were fine long term. You want to make sure you're in the right names here. Don't buy a company just because it says, "Hey, we're in AI." All
Yeah, I totally agree with what he's saying. I mean, if you buy Amazon and they're really using a bunch of AI to propel their business, which what they're doing right now, even if AI is a bubble, you're probably gonna be all
of a
right.
sudden, you really need to do your
But if you buy something like Allbirds, which is a shoe company that just put AI behind their name and it is a bubble, then you're probably going to get hurt a little bit. I think what he's saying is very true here.
homework and make sure you're in the right companies. You're in those bottleneck trades that people are having to throw money at hand over fist. And then watch your position sizing. Don't go 100% into AI names, because if we are at the top of a bubble, that's where you get really hurt.
So if we're coming into these bottlenecks, I would bet memory's on your radar, photonics,
Micron.
optoelectronics, anything tied to the infrastructure here. I mean, where are you seeing opportunity? Where specifically, when you say bottleneck, are you focused?
So all of those that you mentioned, the other sneaky bottleneck trade is space, because what we're seeing is nobody wants a data center in their backyard. Where are they all going to eventually go? They're going to go into space. Now, that's not going to happen tomorrow, but that's also why we think.
Very interesting take right there. I haven't heard anything about that, but data centers in space, that's interesting.
We're in the early innings of this space trade. So that's another bottleneck that I think you really want to have exposure to. We launched SPCI, our space ETF, 2 months ago. I think it's up like 50%. It's just been crazy. But we do think that there's more to go in the space trade as well.
I mean, the space trade is certainly something we've been talking about, of course, with the potential SpaceX IPO and the possibility of an orbital data center. As you said, no one wants it in their backyard. People actively fighting them being in their backyards right now, in fact. So as we look at that, and you're talking about your space ETF, what do you have in there? What companies are you specifically looking at? Who are your picks here?
So I think when you look at space, you want pure play. You don't want a company where, yeah, all right, maybe 10% of their revenue comes from space. So we're,
Space is a very speculative investment, let me say. I do not have a lot of money in space, let me say that.
Redwire, Rocket Lab, Lunar, ASTS. We've got 11 names, and they are pure play space names. You don't want Lockheed Martin and Boeing and all of that stuff in your space ETF.
All right, and then on the memory side of this, because if we want to talk about the other bottleneck, that's the big one with the shortage and demand being so high. How are you looking at that trade? Because we've already seen such an incredible run up there. Is there still space in that trade?
There's still space in that trade because it is such a bottleneck. Do you trade, do you chase the SanDisks and the Microns up here? Yeah, maybe I wait for a dip. The name we really like in here is Penguin, PENG. Yeah, it's a name.
Never heard of Penguin. I have heard of Micron and SanDisk, but interesting to see what he's about to say.
That is much smaller market cap. It's just starting to gain interest with retail investors. And Hynix took a big stake in them in 2024. You kind of hope that those guys know what they're doing, because they're killing it.
And as you look at other opportunities here, I see in the notes that you sent over that you're also taking a lot of look at Halo companies and the Halo trade. Take us through that thesis and who specifically falls under that umbrella.
Yeah, so it stands for heavy assets, low obsolescence. What you're looking for is companies that have assets and that would be helped by AI, not hurt by AI. So, companies like a Freeport McMoran,
So what we're seeing basically is we're seeing what companies are going to be helped out by AI, like you just said right there. But investing in space is, we might have that AI bottleneck where there's data centers everywhere. We're having, neighborhoods of data centers, you get that into space, and then these space stocks are very much going to benefit. But we are very far from getting data centers into space. I don't see that happening anytime soon. So I would not, that's not something that I'd put a bunch of money and lock it up in right now, honestly.
AI isn't going to put copper out of business, but it may allow, copper companies to mine more efficiently. So we really think the whole Halo idea is like the new value trade. You can't just buy a stock because it's undervalued anymore, because it could be undervalued because AI is going to put them out of business. So when
the narrative with SaaS, which I don't think it's true.
We're putting our money where our mouth is. We're launching HALX next week to really delve into this whole Halo trade.
And as we look at this setup that we have, the more macro setup with everything happening in Iran, defense is frequently coming into the conversation with this AI tie-in. How are you looking at defense as an opportunity right now?
So we're looking at defense from two angles. Number one is the convergence trade, where you're seeing kind of next level defense, the Andurils of the world, the Kratos, the AVAVs, bringing in AI, bringing in optics, bringing in cloud, and all of that converging. And, you definitely want to play that trade. The other thing we're looking at, which tinfoil hat, I get it, but, with the administration releasing all of these UFO files, we think that there's technology specifically around free energy and propulsion that the big defense contractors may have, the Lockheed Martins, the Raytheons. So we have an ETF for this too. It's UFOD. It's our UFO disclosure ETF. So we think that's an area you also want to be in.
Matthew Tuttle with some interesting ETFs here, but that's all that I'm going to do for this reaction, to this video right here. It wraps up pretty soon here after this, but definitely some speculative investments. But I think the main thing to take away from this, that AI could be a bubble, could not be a bubble. Who am I to say? But at the end of the day, if you invest in these big names that are going to benefit from AI, no matter whether it's a bubble or not, they're going to get past it. These are huge companies. I'm talking about the Amazons, the Metas, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Apples, things of that nature. They're going to get past AI, even though they have so much money tied up in it. But don't get caught in those companies that are pure AI plays. Just make sure that it's sprinkled in there a little bit. But that's all that I have for the reaction video for today, guys. So if you did enjoy, be sure to smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.